lies a truth too old to be myth, too strange to be history, and far too real to ignore. What if the stories were never just legends? What if the drawings weren't imagination, but memory? Tonight, we journey to a place where whispers echo through stone, where glowing beings walk without sound, and where the line between past and present no longer holds. What you're about to hear is not science fiction. It's what people have seen, felt, touched, and never spoken of again. Welcome to X-Site. You're not just watching, you're entering. The forest was dense. Thick roots strangled the earth and moss hung from crooked trees like curtains of time. No trails led here. No birds sang. Only the low breath of wind sliding between stone and bark. And yet here, King Ottokar II ordered a castle to rise. No war had summoned it. No trade routes passed nearby. There was no village to protect, only silence. The workers arrived reluctantly. They spoke little. They slept in shifts. Because at the center of the building site was a hole, not just a pit, an abyss. Its edges were sharp as if the earth itself had cracked open from within. At night the wind moaned through it, but it wasn't wind, whispers, low growls. Sometimes laughter, rasping and cold in no tongue spoken by man. Animals avoided the site. Horses bucked wildly. Hounds refused to cross the boundary. Even insects seemed to vanish near its edge. The workers grew sick. Pale, some fled. The master architect ordered a chapel be built first, directly over the hole. He said prayers would bind what stone could not. And so they built, stone upon stone, psalm upon psalm. They sealed the darkness beneath cold Gothic arches. They chanted over the foundation. They brought priests incense, relics from Jerusalem, but deep below the hole shuddered, as if it laughed. The hole was not closed, only watching. Whispers became too much. The guards refused to patrol near the chapel. Tools disappeared, then reappeared twisted, melted. Once a worker was found walking in circles at dawn. Eyes open, but blind. He muttered a single word. Down, downs. The king's advisor grew impatient. He demanded answers, so a bargain was made with a prisoner, a murderer, an arsonist. A man already damned, they told him. If you go down and return, you go free. He grinned, laughed, spat on the floor and said, "Lower me." They tied a rope around his chest, wrapped a torch with pitch and flame. He disappeared below the chapel floor, the rope unspooled, 10 feet, 20, 50, then a scream, not of pain, of terror. Then laughter, then sobbing, then nothing. When they pulled him back, he was unrecognizable. His face looked older, skin brittle, pale as chalk. Hair once black, now pure white. His eyes never blinked again. He died that night. But not before he smeared something across the chapel wall. A spiral, a strange helix, and in the center, a black diamond, floating, hovering above the earth. No one understood it, not then. Centuries later, it would match descriptions from pilots, from abductees, from those who saw the craft in the sky. It was unknowingly the first sketch of a UFO, and it came from the man who looked into the hole beneath Houska. Years passed, the castle remained, but no one ever truly lived there. No royal banquets, no family banners, no children laughing in the courtyard, only dust. And eyes, unseen eyes. Visitors would report cold spots, then burning heat. Photographers caught strange orange glows on film, but only inside the chapel, in sealed rooms with no windows. Particles floated, spiraling midair like dust trapped in a silent storm. Yet no air moved. No explanation could hold. At night, footsteps echoed across the stone, heavy, deliberate, but no one walked there. And those who stayed overnight spoke of a presence, a figure cloaked in black, hooded, tall, faceless. It stood near the altar. Sometimes in the attic, sometimes behind you, never moving, but always watching. When priests were called to bless the space, the holy water would boil, crosses would fall from the walls. One monk fled mid-prayer, whispering in Latin, "Custos inferni non est homo." The guardian of hell is not a man, and below it all. The whispers continued. In the spring of 2003, a clinical hypnotherapist named Alexandra Mackenzie visited Houska. She had never believed in ghosts, only memory, trauma, subconscious voices. But the moment she stepped into the castle, the air grew heavy, like walking underwater, like something was pushing back. She reached the chapel and stopped. Her hands began to shake. She turned to her husband, her voice cracked. "It won't let me in." The wind howled through the stone. Her hair whipped across her face. Then, she was no longer there. In a blink, she saw herself in linen robes, white, embroidered with ancient flowers, a belt tied with ritual knots. She stood in a field surrounded by torches. Men and women danced in circles, chanting in a language older than Latin, older than Slavic. They were pagans calling to the earth, to something beneath it. A figure stood at the center, a man with antlers. And in front of him the priestess, Alexandra, lay in the furrowed soil, offering herself to the harvest, or to what waited beneath it. She came back gasping, cold, eyes wide. "It's not just haunted," she whispered. "It's still awake." Far from Houska, in the heart of Prague, another secret stirred. In the Carmelite monastery at Ratchani sat a woman who had never died. Maria Electa. Her body sat on a wooden chair, silent, not preserved by science, not embalmed. Untouched by time, physicians examined her. Her skin was soft, her joints still moved, her heart had long stopped. Yet her body refused to decay. Locals whispered that she had heard the voice of God, that after her father's death her grief opened something, a channel. They say she heard, "Do not be afraid, from now on I will be your father." And then, her body changed. Masons who buried her said the mortar froze midair. The water boiled inside the tomb, and even now at night, voices echo in the crypt, soft, childlike, calling her name. Some say Maria Electa was chosen. Others believe she is a vessel for something beyond comprehension. Visitors report seeing light rise from her bones. Some feel peace, others leave weeping. One nun collapsed after touching the glass that enclosed her, saying only, "She is not alone." And beneath Prague, the air grows thin, as if the veil between worlds has worn away. In the deep heart of Bohemia, the Shumava Mountains rise like sleeping beasts. Ancient forests stretch for miles, untouched, untamed. Beneath the canopy, ruins sleep, weathered stones once sacred to the Celts. Among them, the giant's castle, a name whispered in local legend. They say it was once a center of power, not political, but something far older. Wanderers report bones found in the earth, not animal. One was nearly 3 meters long, glowing faintly in the dark, and then gone, as if it had never been there. But stranger still, the circles. Every summer in the fields near Sushitz, geometric patterns appear overnight, perfectly etched. No tire marks, no human footsteps, spirals, grids, sometimes binary code. Mathematicians decoded one in 2002. The message read, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises." Locals speak of humanoids, tall, with cone-shaped heads, glowing skin, and dark oval eyes. Seen at dawn, standing still at the edge of fields. One man saw them from his window, and in that instant, he said, he forgot his own name. He only remembered fear. Some tried to take pictures, but their phones froze, screens went black. And when they checked their galleries, the photos were gone, as if erased, as if watched. It was a clear afternoon in 2019. 12 hikers wandered through a meadow below Shumava's peaks. They laughed, took photos, until the cows stopped moving. 100 cows all turned toward one spot, silent, still, eyes wide. One of the hikers followed their gaze, and there it was, A black diamond floating 6 feet above the ground, silent, smooth. Its surface shimmered like graphite in sunlight. It didn't fall, it didn't fly, it simply existed. The hikers froze. Time felt slow. The air buzzed as if the very molecules held their breath. Then, with no sound, the diamond lifted, hovered, tilted just slightly, and vanished into the sky. No trails, no fire, just silence. One of the hikers dropped to his knees and wept. Another whispered, "That wasn't meant for us." None of them spoke for days. Now in the present, the sightings continue. Above power plants, near nuclear facilities, along ancient ley lines, not with invasion, not with weapons, but with observation. Some believe they are guardians, others judges. There are stories of missiles disabled in midair, of warheads rendered inert the moment they were armed, of lights hovering above missile silos in the US, in Russia, in China. Some say it is mercy, others say it is a test. Why do they come to Bohemia? Because here, under ancient stone and pagan soil, the veil is thin between this world and what waits beyond it. The castle, the hole, the figure in the dark, still watching, still listening. And perhaps waiting for us to decide what kind of species we want to become. The mother, Eva, swore she saw her daughter, Lena, talking to someone, but no one was there. "Who are you speaking to?" she asked. Lena pointed to the clearing. "He's glowing," she said simply. "He's kind, he's not from here." That night the child disappeared. Panic, search parties, helicopters, nothing. But 2 days later at dawn, Lena was found at the same spot, curled up, smiling, unharmed. "I wasn't lost," she whispered to her father. "I was learning." When asked what she meant, she drew it. A circle, lines crossing like a star map. And at the center, the black diamond. Her body emitted faint radiation, traces unknown to local doctors. She spoke in symbols no one could translate. They moved away months later. The family changed names, disappeared. But sometimes, on cloudless nights, villagers say they see a child-shaped glow wandering that same ridge. Not lost, but watching. In Sh Kudra, near the ruins of an old Celtic outpost, a man named František Pavlovitz was hunting wild pigs. It was cold. The mist clung to the ground like fingers. He raised his rifle, took aim, but something moved, not a boar. A figure tall, thin, outlined by light. He lowered the rifle, it stood still. František fired into the air, warning, but the rifle exploded in his hands, not a bang. A rupture. The weapon melted, twisted from within. His hands burned. The metal fused shut, no way to remove the cartridge. He ran through the woods, and behind him, silence. No footsteps, no breathing, just the feeling of something following. The next day, a gunsmith examined the weapon. "I've never seen this," he said. "The inside, it's as if it was cooked from the inside out." František stopped hunting. He never returned to the forest. But even now, his story sits in the records of Shumava's strangest encounters. So now you know the castle was real. The hole still breathes. The lights still drift above the trees. The whispers you hear in the dark, they've been speaking for centuries. You just weren't listening. But here's the question no one can answer. Were these beings warning us, or simply watching? And if they've come before, what happens when they come again? Tell us what you believe. Have you ever felt the air change? Have you ever seen something that shouldn't exist? Let us know in the comments. Because the truth might already be with you. This is X-Site, where mysteries don't end. They only begin.